Currently in Bangalore only because
Okay.
it's hybrid model is there, so I have to be in
Oh,
Bangalore.
okay. Okay. Yeah, pretty hot. Like in Mumbai as well, it's pretty hot here.
Yeah, yeah, it is a little bit cold.
Okay. Cool, cool. So yeah, Devjit. So what we will do is for couple of minutes you can speak about yourself, and we'll start off with and after that we'll start off with some basic concepts of Java, and we'll take on after that. So yeah, so please go for introducing yourself.
Yeah, so basically, I'm Devjitra. I'm having around 6.10 years experience in IT sector, and currently working with ENY. I'm having around 2.10 years experience at ENY, and I have worked across three clients. And the current client is Wells Fargo, where I am working upon soft check deployment process. So I've made use of tech stacks like Spring JPA, Microservices, Oracle, MySQL, and prior to that, actually in prior projects, I was working upon banking and financial domain projects. So basically, I've built REST APIs where I worked upon payment acknowledgement, and then there are a lot of functionalities on payment acknowledgement, and then payment matching and approval process. Those things I worked upon. And prior to that, actually, I worked with CGI. So there also I worked upon Spring JPA microservice. So there I was working on their own product. To Trade 360 was their own product, so I was working on that. And prior to that, I was working on one startup.
Okay. Okay. So you started with a startup with Java itself, or you were working on some different technologies?
Yeah, previously in that startup, I was working in SQL. So I was
Okay.
using Toad tool and Bird tool to generate SQL queries. And then after that, I shifted to Java.
Okay. Okay. And so, how would you rate yourself on like SQL, or have you ever worked on UI? Just curious to know, like not
Not that
exactly,
much
but
actually. I didn't got much chance to
okay.
work on UI. So backend mainly I
Okay.
have.
Backend. Okay. Cool. So, just wanted to understand your role in detail, like what kind of role are you playing right now? So, are you just a team lead, or you're just a developer, or you're managing a team, or something of that sort? Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, in my current project, I have somehow worked as a team lead basically. So in the developer side, actually there were two people, and in the DevOps side, who is managing the cloud part, Azure part. So there were 3 to 4 people. So in total, there was one team, and there was one project manager who is to take the requirements from the client. So what all things we need to implement, and then it was distributed among us. So actually, we were having a meeting, so where we are discussing the user stories, what all things needs to be segregated, and who and all should be given which user stories based upon their experience level and their year of means experience into that field, like Spring Boot microservice. So based upon that, it's getting segregated, and then we they were raising the PRs after making the changes, and then we will be reviewing like what all changes they have done, and will that be pushed into the main branch or not. If everything is fine, then and then yeah, after a sprint, there will be 2 weeks sprint basically. So after that we'll be reviewing like what and all changes done, what can be spilled over, and how much is being completed in the sprint. So those things we are taking into consideration.
Okay. Okay. So you also work on, like, you have a hands-on experience, or you just do the team management or team leading kind of activities, like reviewing the code, or or delegating the work or something of that sort. Do you have an hands-on as well?
Yeah, in my previous project, I have done at some time. I was just giving the requirements to the developers. So, means first we will see like how to balance the task across the multiple team. So there will be few people
Okay.
who will be not having that much task, and there will be few people who will be having lot of tasks. So like a load balancer kind of thing, we have to distribute the task.
Okay. Okay. So in your current role, what is the proportion in which you're doing the task, like you're 80% a team lead or 80% hands-on development? How would you
80% hands-on
how is
development, 20% on team lead, because there are very few people who are working as a development currently. Like 2 people only working as development, 3 people in cloud. So we were discussing among ourselves only, and then we were distributing the task. So in my previous
okay.
project, there were seven to eight people. So there actually we were delegating like who and all needs to be given the task.
Okay. So you mentioned about a cloud. So do you also do cloud coding, or no, you're just into Spring Boot and Hibernate and JPA?
Yeah, I'm basically into backend side only, Spring Boot, Hibernate, and this side. And cloud side actually they have a separate team. They have hired separately for the working on the cloud part. So yeah.
Okay. So moving ahead, just a step ahead. So how do you integrate your Spring Boot services to the cloud services? Like what exactly is a cloud in your project? Like what role does it play?
Basically, the cloud is the place where we can deploy our project, whatever things we have built up, so that it will be safer over there, and the accessibility will be good. Because if it is on on-prem, then every time we have to hit it, and then we should get the data. So it will be like a cumbersome process, and then it is like more time-consuming as well. So while deploying into the cloud, it will become more flexible, and then it will be easy to use. So those
Okay.
who are given access, they can easily access the data and they can make use of it.
Okay. So apart from ease of access, what else are the advantages of cloud? Or and my second question, is like, do you use private cloud or is it a public cloud kind of environment? Like
Uh,
if you
I think it is more of a public cloud only. So I haven't got much
okay,
in depth into that. Actually, there was a separate team. So yeah, we were
okay.
seeing that.
Okay, so you use cloud as a container to deploy your code, right?
Yes, yes.
And okay, so what exactly you are bundling your code into? Like, what is the container in the cloud? Do you have any idea about that?
So basically, in my previous stage, we were deploying to harness. Basically, first we are deploying to PCF, and then we have deployed to harness, and then actually cloud deployment is in process basically. So they were doing some proxy configuration to move the data to cloud
Okay,
basically.
okay. So have you heard about Docker images?
Mm, yeah, I've heard about that.
Okay. So do you use do you wrap your code or your libraries into Docker images and then containerize those Docker images? Have you done something of that sort? Or you might be like liaising with your DevOps team to deploy those images to the container. Have you done any of those things?
Yeah, deployment I basically done from the UI side basically. So in case of Jenkins, we are just giving the feature name and the environment name that we want to deploy, and there we are deploying. And then there was separate DevOps team also whom we were giving the branch like these things we need to deploy. So they are taking that and they are deploying to that specific environment.
Okay.
So like that
Okay.
process happens.
And now, what are the tools that you use for building your code? Like, is it Maven, Gradle, or what are the tools?
Yeah, so we have made use of Maven as well as Gradle in our current project. For actually 2 to 3 months I have worked upon Gradle. So yeah, so these two things I have worked upon.
Okay. So
The,
how would you rate yourself on a scale of say 1 to 5 for a Gradle kind of thing? Are you comfortable working on Gradle?
Gradle, a few commands I have used to do the plain installation part, and then to add the data into the file and pushing the changes. So those things only I've made use of. So apart from that, in depth, I haven't done much work on that. Basically, for past 2 3 months only, I was working on Gradle part, and basically I worked
Okay.
upon Maven only.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Good. So yeah. So moving on to our Java discussion. Have you used Java 8? I've I've gone through your profile and looks fantastic. I think you have used Java 17 as well. So just wanted to know, like, what is the difference between Java 8 and Java 17?
Yeah, so Java it came with a lot of features. Like it was a like main sort of development happened in Java 8, and then in Java 17 actually there were a few changes with respect to persistence API. So there was like previously it was taken from Java X or persistence. Now it has been changed to Jakarta persistence API. Those changes came into picture, and then in case of switch case, actually in the case it will now accept a lambda function, and we can have multiple data comma separated we can add in case. So it will like a lot of lines of code will be reduced. So if we have same result for multiple cases, we can add all them with comma separated values. So like that we can do. There is something regard with respect to sealed and record feature that we can implement with respect to interface. So actually we are allowing the particular subclass to implement that particular interface and then use that. So sealed and record interface, sealed and record is helpful in that. Then I think where keyword also came for that. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Debajit. Yeah,
uh,
somewhat I just lost you somewhere, but yeah, I'm able to hear now. Yeah,
yeah, so till where you heard.
I just heard like a minute before. Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. So that thing you heard that we have worked upon Jakarta persistence API, Java X
yes,
persistence, it replaced with Jakarta
yes.
persistence, and then there were like switch case statements are there. In case of cases, we can have a lambda function implementation there, and for multiple cases which is giving me same result, we can have comma separated cases. So that thing also we can do. Then sealed and record feature came with interface. So if we don't want any class to implement the interface and override certain methods, that thing
Okay,
feature we can have it sealed and record. So that thing we can do. And where keyword came actually. So basically we were writing multiple times, like left side and right side we are writing the class name two times. So it becomes more lengthier and complex to understand. So we can have where keyword, so it becomes smaller. Yeah, that way we can do. So these things are there.
have you used Stream?
Yes, I have made use of streams.
Do you have few of the Stream API functions that you have used on collections? Any
Hmm.
of the collections? Yeah.
Yes. So string functions we have made use of like distinct method and sorted method, then any match method, filter method, map method. So these things were made, and collect method is there to collect the data at last.
Collect. Okay. Um, have you used a grouping
Hmm.
by
Yes,
method?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So what it is used for?
Actually, it is helpful to group the data based upon certain item. So, let's suppose we have taken example of employee class. So, in employee class, there are multiple fields like ID, name, age, salary. So, if you want to group the data based upon salary, then we can write employee list dot stream dot collect collectors dot grouping by, and then we can pass the field based on which you want to group. So, you can pass employee colon colon get the salary. So, it will be grouped based upon that. So, like that we
Okay.
can do.
Got it. Okay. So if I want to sort my so if I have one particular collection and I have to sort in a descending order without using Stream API, so how are you going to achieve that?
Uh,
Let's
so.
say we have
Mhm.
a collection of employee class, like an employee has employee ID, first name, last name, and yeah, that's it.
So we have to sort based upon last name.
We have to sort based on employee ID. Yeah.
Okay. So we can create a separate uh, class for that. We can create like ID comparator. We can create, and then we can implement comparator for that, and then we can override a compare method. Then it will accept two data basically, object one, object two. So basically we can downcast it to employee type, like employee one equal to employee type O1, and then employee two equal to employee type O2. Like that we can do, and then we can return like I1 dot E1 dot get ID. Uh, if it is of integer type, we can do E1 dot if we can it is like a reverse order or descending order or ascending order.
Descending.
descending order. So it will be like e2 dot get id minus e1 dot get id if it is of integer type. Right? And if it is of string type, then we can do like e2 dot get id dot compare to e1 dot get id. Like that we can make use of. And then it will
Okay,
go back to the method, calling method, and then we can pass like collections dot sort, then list comma this, that
got
class.
it. Okay. When do we use reverse or revert method? There is one method called as reverse, right?
Yeah.
So,
So that also we can use for printing in reverse order basically. So
okay,
we can call that method if we want to print the data in descending order. So that will be
okay. So, what do you think? What is more optimized? Like the Stream API, sorting is more optimized, or the solution that you have just mentioned to write a comparator, or the reverse method. So, what among the three you think is more would be more optimized?
I think is creating through stream will be more optimized because here we are creating a class, writing a method, then we are returning that. So we are creating separate class for that, and for that stream basically, whenever we are writing the terminal operation, then only the entire set of intermediate operation gets executed because it's lazily loaded. So that feature of streams is very beneficial for us to means execute the entire flow. So I think if we are
Okay,
using streams and using reverse method in that, it will be faster.
okay, okay. Fantastic. So coming back to Lambda expressions, what exactly is a functional interface and how do you define it? And what is basic definition of functional interfaces?
Yeah, functional interface is a form of interface which contains only one abstract method, and it can have like a number of default and static methods. So it has come into picture to provide certain specific behaviors and functionalities to the class implementing that interface. So basically, let's suppose I'm taking example of predicate. So it's a form of functional interface which will contain one abstract method which is test method, and with the help of that, it is being accepted in the filter method, so we can return the boolean value like if condition is satisfied. So
Okay. How many default methods can you have in a function interface?
like a number of default and
N number
static
of.
methods.
Okay. Okay. All right. How about datetime API? Any datetime API that you have used from Java 8?
Java 8 two new feature came like locally dot local date time we can make use of. Yeah, so I was telling like a local date time like new feature came in Java 8, so that we can make use of. Able to hear me, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Able to hear.
So
I'll shut down my video for some time.
yeah, yeah,
Let's
yes,
see
sure.
how it goes. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so basically we can make use of local date time class, and then with the help of local date time class we can call the instance method, the now method to get the current date, and then there are separate functionalities present within that, like we can have zone id, we can have the region
Okay.
corresponding to that. Zone
Okay.
id dot
Okay.
off, we can have the zone id passing there, and then we can contact like that.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So we will have a use case.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so in past, like in 2020, we have this coronavirus and all. And if suppose I am a pharmacy company, but I have to create a vaccine for that particular virus, and if I, as a technical person in that pharmacy company, I would want a model to be created first before creating a vaccine. So before creating a vaccine, I'll prepare a blueprint, and to create a blueprint, I would basically want to create a simulation in my computer. So how would like a virus would behave when a particular human would get injected with a vaccine, or something of that sort. So what happens when a person, let us start from a stage where a person gets infected with virus, and then of course when a person gets infected with virus, but if he has already taken the vaccine, so the effect of that particular virus would be nullified, so on and so forth. And if he has not taken, which is fine, that is another use case. But the case where a human have taken the vaccine, Okay, but now that we are vaccine manufacturing company, I just wanted to create a simulation in my computer. So I just so if I give you so this is a very high level kind of thing. If I give you that particular simulation to be created in computer, and if I ask you to write a a Java system, a Java program, or not, forget about Java program, but if I ask you to design this a Java classes, a set of classes, wherein I would be able to create a vaccine, and I would also be able to simulate the behavior of a virus. So how would you go for those composition of Java classes? I hope you have got the question. It was a long kind of thing, but I just wanted to make sure you got the question.
Yeah, so uh, basically, we need to see like how we are providing vaccination to the people, and we will be checking like if that person has already taken the vaccine or not. So
Correct.
yeah, so
So
if Mhm.
we can start from one thing, like we will first design a coronavirus. So what do you think? What all classes would be needed? What all Java classes would be needed to design a coronavirus?
mm, okay, so we can have coronavirus can infect basically. So
Right.
we can create one interface, and then we can have one method, like we can have one abstract method like infect, and
Okay.
then we can have a separate class called vaccination class,
Okay.
and then there will be a separate class called person class,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
vaccination we will be checking first within person. So person and vaccination. So these two will be like if the person has coronavirus, then only they will go to take the vaccine. Otherwise, they will not go and take the vaccine.
Hmm.
So we can have like aggregation kind of relation between person and the vaccination class,
Okay.
because
Okay.
here there will not be a strong dependency between the two. There can be a loose coupling because a person will go to vaccination center only when a person is not vaccinated. Otherwise, they will not go to. So there should
Right.
be a loose
Right.
coupling. Then,
Okay.
uh, then after
So,
that,
yeah, what about the relationship between a virus and a vaccine? Because if you remember, or if you know, the vaccines are created from dead virus
mhm.
sometimes, right?
Yes, yes.
So,
Yeah,
can
for
you
that,
just,
yeah.
yeah,
So vaccine and virus. So these two we have to combine.
yeah.
So
Will that be a is a relationship or a has a relationship?
uh,
What kind of relationship will it have?
so a virus actually vaccination is working upon virus first.
Right, right.
So there will be like a composition kind of thing. So there will be a strong dependency between the two. So if there is no virus, then we can't test that particular vaccine.
Correct. Okay, okay, got it. Okay. And when a person, so just going a step ahead with this, let's say a person is infected now, already infected with coronavirus. Now, if he had taken the vaccine 1 month before, or something of that sort, right? Before he got infected. Now, when he got infected after 1 month of taking the vaccine, there would be some, some changes happening, like his antibodies or antigen, whatever they call it as in medical terms, are getting, WBCs are, risen up to the certain level.
Mhm.
So how would you design those aspects, like how would you, so you have already mentioned about interface like virus, right?
Mhm.
And so you have already mentioned about a function called as infect. uh, can you guess any other functions pertaining to how the vaccine would behave when a person is infected with a virus? Yeah. So can you guess some more functionalities of virus interface?
So there can be a chance that if a person is vaccinated or non-vaccinated, both case they can get the infection. So we have also seen certain
Right.
scenarios where a person is vaccinated, then after 2 months he still got infected with coronavirus. So that scenario might also be there. So in that case, person need to get vaccinated. So uh, can have virus. So
So how
virus
would
can
you detect?
spread. Huh?
Yeah, just giving you a clue, like how would you detect that uh, you know uh, RBCs or WBC or whatever it is risen up to certain extent, and your vaccine now has to kick into action.
Okay.
How are you going to design that? I mean, if you can answer, like I'm just looking for uh, a very high level kind of thing, not in depth.
Okay. So RBC and WBC, like uh, these can be defined uh, under human body basically. So RBC and WBC are contained within a person, and then we will be checking the level of RBC. Within that, we can create a class implementing that particular person interface. We can override that method, and then RBC WBC method, and then within that we can write condition to check like what is the default level of RBC and WBC. So we can create a global reference for that global reference variable
Okay.
storing those default data, and then we can check with condition. If it crosses that threshold, then vaccination class needs to be injected over there. So we can
Okay.
auto-hire that vaccination class, and yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so coming out of this use case, can you just explain to me the architecture of a Spring Boot, a project? Like, what is the design and what is the architecture? Like, how the request, how the HTTP request flows
Yeah.
in Spring Boot. Yep.
Yeah, so basically from UI, basically we are passing the URL. So URL will contain the host name, port number, and then the entire exact endpoint which we have to pass. So it may
Right.
be like a get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, delete mapping, anything. So
Right.
first of all, it will when we are hitting that particular endpoint. So first of all, the data needs to be authenticated to check like that particular user is authenticated or not. Then for that, actually we can create one configuration class. We can have the dependency like Spring Security in the pom.xml. Then we can have enable web security over the configuration class, and then for that class we can extend web security configuration adapter, and then within that we can have the configure method overridden, passing HTTP security as a parameter. And then with that, if there is certain URL coming from the UI, then we will be checking that that particular user is having what role, like admin role or user role, what role it is having.
Okay.
So for that we can have ant matchers, and then within that we will pass the URL, and then we will be checking like dot has role, which role it is having, like user role we can grant or admin role we can grant for certain URLs. So after that, we will be passing like what type of authentication we are checking there, like basic authentication, form based authentication. So we'll be having that method like dot basic authentication dot authenticated. Like that, if it is there, it will check like if it is user data is matched. Yeah, and the user only trying to access user related URL, then it will go back to the front end dispatcher servlet, like front end controller will be there, which will redirect it to the exact that particular endpoint which the user is trying
Got
to
it.
hit. Then
So
after
what
that,
is
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
got a point. So what is cross-site scripting? We basically do course, configuration. What is that? Do you have any idea?
Actually, course, I think we need to add configuration within that controller layer, so we can have it enabled with at the rate course or at the rate course origin. We can have annotation, and then we can pass the value over there, and
Okay.
then
What will that do? Like how that will help us? In what way?
so if we are trying to hit that endpoint with multiple origins, like it will check like if it is coming from one origin or if it is coming from another origin, then we can restrict that endpoint access by having that annotation. So
Okay. 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 Got it. And okay, so you were talking about authentication and authorization. So once authorization and authentication happens,
mhm.
what next? So there is a controller. After
Yeah, yeah.
controller, how the request flows?
Yeah, after that basically it will come to that REST controller, and then from that REST controller we will be having the method, and there actually we will be auto wiring the service layer logic basically. So there will be
Okay.
service layer class. So we will be first writing the interface, and then we will be writing a class implementing that service layer interface, then overriding that method, and then we will be implementing our own business logic. There we will be auto wiring the repository layer interface. Then
Right.
there will be repository interface. There we will be extending any repository which we want, like JPA normal repository. Then after that we will be writing the method over there. So if it is like getting data based upon certain column, we will be passing that. Or else if we write our own query, then also we can do with at the rate query parameter, at the rate query annotation, and then we will be passing that query over there.
Okay. What is advantages or disadvantages, if any, over like using Hibernate? Bit like I'm just in short, what is the difference between using Hibernate and a JPA, like persistence API?
Yeah, so JPA is basically a specification, and Hibernate is an ORM framework tool. So with the help of JPA, we can directly map the data, and we can just point like which field value corresponding to which column data, and then it is having certain inbuilt methods basically. In case of Hibernate, we have to like open the transaction, we have to create the session, and then we need to call the methods of application context by passing the URL, and then we have to follow those methods like creation of session, factory session, those things. But in case of JPA, it internally runs the Hibernate queries basically when we are extending JPA repository, and then we are calling find by ID those methods. So
Okay, perfect. And what? So there is a term called as two-phase commit. What does that stand for? Like two-phase commit.
face comment. Yeah, so basically, I'm not really remembering the exact thing, but two-phase commit was having some issue with respect to distributed transaction. So, whenever the transaction will be distributed across multiple services, so there can be a chance, like if we are making any changes into database, then in that scenario, the entire flow of the two-phase commit, the changes will not get rolled back basically. So to
Okay.
avoid that issue of distributed transaction, we are making use of Saga design patterns like choreography and orchestration.
Okay. Okay. And what is a global transaction or user interface? Have you ever used that?
Global transaction basically,
Or
when we are putting entire transactional annotation over the class level, then all the methods present within that class will be become transactional.
okay. Okay. All right. So how many scopes are there in Spring? We have this. We create auto wiring and all, and we annotate classes with at the rate component, etc. So with what scope? What is the default scope with which these beans are created in Spring?
So default scope is basically singleton in nature.
Okay.
So when
And what are the other scopes
yeah,
available?
one is prototype, one is request, one is session, one is global session. So these are the
Okay.
types.
Okay. And can you use prototype? And what is the exact use case to use prototype scope?
Yeah, prototype scope will be used when at every hit instance, when we are trying to reach hit a particular endpoint. Then in every hit it will create a new instance altogether. So if there is a requirement of creating a new instance on every hit, then we will be going for prototype. So that way we can use. So
Okay. And do you need to do something, because prototype will create, instances on demand, like whenever I access that particular object, it will create a new instance of object. But how about garbage collection? So there will be hundreds and thousands of objects created. What about the garbage collections of that prototype bin?
yeah,
So do
so
you need, so is that Spring managed, or so for example, let's say I have accessed a particular object for 10 times. There are 10 different instances of that particular object present in memory. Now those objects at some point in time has to be destroyed. Otherwise, it will start multiplying, and the server will go down eventually. So the Spring has to manage. So my question here is, will those instances be a life cycle of those instances managed by Spring, or you have to explicitly do something to remove those references from that object?
uh, yeah, so basically we can. It's like a good practice to check like if the reference for those beans are null or not after the execution gets finished. So at the end we can check like if reference is not equal to null, we can set the reference as null, so that there will be no reference pointing to that particular object in the heap memory. So basically during the garbage collection process, during mark and sweep algorithm is will be there. It will basically check for all those instances in the heap memory in the hidden space. Basically new object gets stored in the hidden space first, so it will check like if there is no instances pointing to that and it is null, so it will be removed from the garbage collection process, through garbage collection process. So like that
Okay.
it will be removed.
So you mean to say that those beans are not managed by Spring, right? Spring does not automatically manage those references, or this is what you mean to say? Because we are talking about like explicitly
I think Spring
removing the
manages it
instances.
internally. So it checks for actually it injects the bin at runtime like whenever required, and it will check also like if those bin instances are already used up or not. Then
Okay.
yeah,
Is this valid for other scopes as well, or is it valid only for prototype scope? If you have any idea, like.
sorry, I don't have idea on this.
Okay, okay, no worries, no worries. Okay. Um, let's move on. So we'll take one another use case. So I have a particular function, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that particular function is basically absorbing a stream of integers, okay. So and that stream of integers I will store it in one of the collection, and the stream that I'm getting are some of the upstream applications. Okay, there are 4 to 5 different upstream applications, and those upstream applications, continuously, not just sequentially, but continuously, is broadcasting some stream of integers. Now, what I have to write is one function wherein I would collect those stream of integers, and I will just dump it into one of the collection. Okay. So I am not worried about which upstream application I have got that stream, but I'll just collect that stream and dump it into one particular collection on my side, right? So uh, did you get that question, or shall I elaborate on that more?
So basically, currently where the data is getting stored? Is it stored in existing collection or somewhere else it is getting stored?
It is, so I will write a function, okay,
Okay.
wherein I will have a local, variable, local collection in that function, or a method, let's say, and I will just get those stream of integers and put it into that collection. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is all I want. So how would you write that particular function? what all things you will take care of, like while writing, because we have got 4 or 5 different upstream applications, and that will be calling that function.
So it will be like it is stored in a stream, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. So first thing, like let's start with the function will have one parameter, okay, wherein it will get the stream of integers. So integer stream, right? So
int stream. Okay. So we can directly we can collect, no. So with help of collect collectors dot to list, if we use, it will be stored in the list format, and then we can store it in
okay,
the list of integer. So it will collect the data and store it in a list
okay, okay,
because it's already a
and
stream. So we can directly apply dot collect collectors dot to list.
okay, okay. And since it is accessed, this particular method is accessed by 4 to 5 different upstream applications. Any particular, will you take an extra care to handle this function, or
Yeah, we can make you can we can make this method synchronized basically. So
okay,
there will be let's suppose there will be like a four thread. Four applications are calling this, so we can have like four threads, and we can make this method synchronized. And
okay,
within that we can have try with catch and having wait and notify all basically. So we will be allowing one particular thread to access the data, like one particular application resource is gaining the access, and then
okay,
other threads will be waiting till the resource lock is getting released. So after execution of the task by one thread to collect the data and store it in a list, during that process other threads will be waiting, and once one application data is getting stored, that process get finished, then it will notify, like notify all method will be called, then other thread will be coming when that
okay,
thread releases the lock, like
okay,
that we can do.
got it. What if I have to execute it in a parallel mode? So but without like having any deadlock issue or something, but I have to execute in a parallel mode. Any solution for that?
Parallel mode. So parallel stream is there, so that we can make with
Okay, okay, okay. Have you heard about concurrent array list or concurrent stream?
concurrent stream. I haven't heard basically. Concurrent hash map I have heard. Uh,
Concurrent hash map. Yeah.
So concurrent hash map basically it will take the data, like how many parallel threads will be working on the bucket. So that will be accepting first parameter, then the concurrency level, then which feels basically that entire process will be executed. Based upon that, logic will be written.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Concurrent stream I will go
Uh,
through it once. I haven't heard of it.
no, I was just I was just curious, like if there is any kind of this kind of data type. Okay. So Devjit, moving on to next one is so I have a list of employees,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to like store it in a what do you say, in a sort.
Hello.
Able to hear me?
Yeah, now I'm able to hear you.
Okay.
What you told
Uh,
list of.
just a minute. Just a minute. I'll just. Okay. Sorry for that.
It's okay.
So what I was asking is, so I have a object list of.
Hello.
Yeah. You
Hello.
can go on.
Yeah, you told list of object, something like that.
Yeah, correct. So list of object, and I have to store it in a set. I have to store it in a unique way, right? So what particular data type are you going to use?
Yeah, we can make use of set. So we can convert from one collection to another collection. So we can make use of set HS equal to new hash set. We can pass that collection over there. Like if it is array list, we can pass that array list over there.
Okay. And what all things I have to do on employee class if I have to achieve that particular thing?
Yeah, first
Is
of
there
all,
something?
yeah, because that is not by default immutable in nature with respect to string comparison. If I do, because it internally overrides has code and equals method, so we don't have to do anything with that. But for employee and for other type of object, we need to override has code and equals method, and we have to pass the logic like based upon what scenario, what condition you want to do the equal check basically. So if it is like a hash code method, if you override, then we will be writing like objects dot hash, and then we will be passing the fields like which all fields hash code value you want to compare and check. So if you want to check for all objects hash code, we can pass all comma separated within objects dot hash method. Then within equals method, we will be first checking like if it is the instance of the class, the data which is coming or not. If it is not the instance of the class, we can directly return null, or else we can call the equals method like object dot equals, and then we can check
Okay.
the data what is coming and what is accepting. If both are same with and all fields can be done with and operation. So like that we can check
Okay.
equality for all.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So Debajit, I am done from my end. Are there any questions from your end?
Yeah, so basically what kind of project currently Morgan Stanley is working for?
So I am from a different team. From so I'll just brief you about what we do in Morgan and
Okay.
what we do basically in wealth management.
Mm-hmm.
So wealth management, within wealth management technology, we are into advisory.
Mm-hmm.
The project which you will be working on, or maybe after your discussion with HR, etc., would be different than what I am letting you know right now, because my team is different,
Mm-hmm.
and our team is basically engaged into advisory billing,
Okay.
wherein the financial advisors are having their clients like institutional or retail clients,
Mm-hmm.
and they basically FAs provide some services to the client, and for which FAs take fees from them.
Okay.
Now, when we take a fees, we charge them like 1% or 2% on
Mm-hmm.
their asset
Okay.
on which they have invested
Mm-hmm.
in Morgan.
Okay.
Now, that particular assets are, let's say, a client has invested $100, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that asset, that becomes an asset.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that asset under management would basically would put through a model.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Would be put into, yeah.
Uh,
So that asset would be put under a model. Now
mm-hmm.
model will sometimes, like not every time, but the FS has many models out there right now, like it determines the kind of yeah, combination of instruments in which those assets would be invested.
Mm-hmm.
Now and that model would come with a proper investment plan,
Mm-hmm.
and or a proposal, we say investment proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now the FA goes to the client and propose this investment. If client is okay with that, he's asked for a fees. Now when we take a fees, it is some percentage of the asset under management. So $100, if we charge 1% to the client, so it becomes $1.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
now when we Morgan Stanley takes $1, and from that $1 again, the financial advisors would get commission. So out of that $1, there is again some calculations,
Mm-hmm.
wherein a commission would be calculated for FAs.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say FAs are getting commission at the rate of, let's say, 1%. So
Mm-hmm.
1%, so 1% of $1. Okay, so
Okay.
that is calculated,
Mm-hmm.
and that is moved to the, we call it as FA compensation.
Mm-hmm.
Now that becomes a compensation for the FAs.
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the the rest of the asset or the rest of the fees are kept by the house account, like whatever is the house account for that particular product in Morgan Stanley. So this is how Morgan Stanley makes money out of advisory business.
Okay.
So this was a very high level of flow
Hmm.
that I've said. There are a lot many things involved here, and
Okay.
if you join, you would come to know more. But yeah, as I said, your project for which you are being hired is somewhat different, so I may not be able to comment on that at
Okay,
this
sure.
point. So you
Okay.
you may check with HR, or but good, I'm going to pass, if at all there is R3, I'm going to pass you to that. But
Okay.
let's see, but yeah, so this is
Yeah.
all it is.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's a lot of information.
Okay, thanks
Okay.
thanks a lot, Devjit.
Okay.